It's the beginning of a new vlog. Hi, hello, welcome. In this vlog, we're gonna write the first draft of Project Goblin. For anyone who is just tuning in and hasn't had any of the back story about Project Goblin, it's my, I'm gonna label it rom-com. It's my rom-com sci-fi flavored fantasy adventure romance novel between a high fae and a dragon shifter, and it's just a lot of fun. I've spent a lot of time working on it, and I have a very detailed zero draft that I finished at the beginning of January, and I just read it over about 2 or 3 weeks ago at this point, and I love it. I'm so excited about it. There were some things that I needed to fix about it, so there were some inconsistencies and just like redundancies, certain things happening more times than they were supposed to happen. So I did end up spending longer than I thought I would fixing those in the last 2 to 3 weeks. But a lot of that was also because my entire family got the flu at the end of January. So that was just like, okay, that was a lot to get through. But I did finish everything that I wanted to change. So I have a plan of what the first draft is going to be and what it does not need to be. And I have everything fixed. So I finished that 5 days ago, and I wanted to get a little bit of a break, and I'm hoping to come back in another week or two and just like write the whole first draft ASAP. So we'll get into that more in the next clip when I actually start. Today is the day. This is actually very funny. Okay, so it's Friday morning, and I do the family thing on the weekend because I'm a mom of 2 kids, and so I don't write on the weekend. So I'm gonna start writing today, and then just stop on the weekend. But I'm so excited to start. I just finished working on my B project, which was a second draft of a detailed outline for the second book in this interconnected series that Project Goblin's the first book of. So I finished that 2 days ago, and yesterday I took a day to just like fill my creative well, spend time with the kids. They're on their February vacation right now, and kind of like prepare for getting into writing today. So for the first draft, I've never really classified for myself what I wanted out of a draft before. And I realized when I did the really detailed zero draft for this, and I like found out about halfway through doing it that it was a zero draft and not like a fourth draft of an outline, I realized how much power there is in just like setting boundaries for yourself of what you want out of something. So I actually went to the work of defining for myself what I wanted from this first draft so that I have just like absolute permission to not get hung up on perfectionism. So I'll put on the screen what my parameters are for what I want from this first draft, but in case anyone's just listening, I'll also just like quickly go over it. Draft 1 can have ugly, embarrassing, cringe prose. It can be exploratory with character dialogue, mannerisms, and backstory that comes up. It can be devoid of any description or setting whatsoever. It can have heavy exposition as long as it's written in narrative form. It can be lacking in any voice whatsoever. It can read like an instruction manual. It can have major holes in the way that the scene flows, spend too long in one part of a scene, or skip other causal steps that support the predetermined endpoint of the scene. I'm allowed to write in any order I want to. I do not have to make myself go linearly from start to finish. There's no word count whatsoever that I am trying to achieve. If a character's actions or reactions don't feel authentic in the moment, I can make a judgment call to change it in draft, but I need to put in parentheses what I had initially put their reaction or action as so I can compare versions in revision. And the two biggest things are that it has to follow the outline so I can see the bones that I love about the story, because I actually spent a long time thinking about what I wanted the bones to be. If something isn't working and I'm strongly tempted to stop drafting to figure it out, I will not do that, but I will summarize the problem and my reasoning in draft and then move on to the next part until the draft is done. I've never defined what I wanted out of a first draft to be. I think in my head, For most of the time that I've ever spent writing, it's been like, well, obviously the first draft is to write the story and it should be great and perfect. That was the expectation, while also simultaneously being like, I know it will be perfect. And those two ideas cause not a lot of progress sometimes. I also do very well with seeing visual progress go by. There's a prologue, an epilogue, and 63 chapters. So seeing the visual progress every time I finish a chapter is very helpful to keep me motivated. So in the background, you can see my Kanban board. The pink is all things to do with Project Goblin. All the things up here are just all the chapters. So I moved down the prologue and the first 4 chapters to the doing section. And by the end of the day, I am hoping that they will all be done. We will see. I also created a graphic in Canva to further motivate me. And so every time I finish a chapter, I also get to color in whichever chapter it was. And I'll put it on the screen. This is a little too hard to see. But you can see I have my ideal format that I'm hoping I will be able to do because I write during the 5 weekdays. That's the 5 days. So I'm hoping to do 5 chapters on the first day of the week, then 3 the next, then either 5 or 3, depending how I'm feeling, how the day is going. Then 3 chapters on the 4th day, and then 5 or 3 chapters on the 5th day. And depending on how that goes, I could be done with it in 3 weeks. I hope I am done with it in 3 weeks. That would be super fun. And then also, I really like using flashcards for each chapter. Why so many methods of tracking how much you've done? I don't know. I just like them. They all track it in slightly different ways. The ones on the Kanban, all that stuff has to do with my goals for what I'm trying to achieve in the first quarter. And even though it's the same thing, right? It's just like, how many chapters have you done? In this format, it's more motivational as far as, can I hit that 3-week goal? And the note cards are more motivational for in the moment while I'm drafting. This is how long I would like to spend actually drafting it. Not very long. This is how long I want to spend sprinting. So I want a 25-minute sprint and a 15-minute sprint, and I want to be done with it by the time that amount of time goes by. I'm not coming up with anything. I'm going off of a detailed 0 draft, right? Like I already made the big decisions, all the thinking time that usually would eat up a lot of my creative energy. I'm hoping I won't encounter such a creative drain. These are my notes for the prologue. There's a lot there. So what I am hoping to spend time on is not the decisions of, what happens in the scene, but what's the dialogue like as this stuff is playing out? That's what I'm really excited to spend time on and figure out. So enough of that. Let's switch camera angles and we're going to set up my document. This is on Dabble. I really like their timer feature. It's been so long since I drafted. Oh my gosh. Okay, you guys cannot see what I am. It's gonna be the worst thing ever. Let's do it. Okay. Oh my gosh. Here we go. I'm trying to actually build out a scene. Oh my gosh. Stop. Just keep going. Don't you love when you're recording and you realize, oops, the mic ran out of battery? So this is the second time filming this. So, okay, I just finished the first 25 minutes of drafting that I've done since August. It's like close to 6 months since I've actually really drafted, because that 0 draft had not been in prose form. It was like exposition only. Yeah, it's hard to get back into drafting. I wonder how long it will take. 25 minutes was not enough. So if I didn't already say, that was 513 words I wrote. They're the trash. They're bad. But that's fine. That's what they're supposed to be. So there are 2 scenes that happen in this prologue, and they're both supposed to be pretty short in terms of how much is on the page. I think the entire prologue was supposed to be, that's funny, I usually write how much. I believe it's supposed to be 900 words or less. So, and obviously that's in the final draft. So I think I got through about half of the first scene at 500 words. And I think one of the things that was really hard, besides how long it had been since drafting, was that this scene starts in the middle of a battle. And there's just a lot to get into. So I could have, I guess, just like started at the dialogue, but that didn't feel like the right call in the moment. So supposedly, I had thought, wouldn't it be fantastic if I was done with this entire prologue with one more 15-minute sprint? That's insane. There's no way that's going to happen. Maybe once I'm actually in the flow of drafting, I'll be able to do things like that. All the projects I did, basically, in 2025, I was able to write each chapter in like around 50 minutes. So it's not like entirely crazy. It's based on actual facts, but we're not there yet. I'm not going to do this for every chapter, but I did want to share the two funniest lines that I just wrote because they're so bad. So it starts off in the middle of a battle, and stuff happens, and the love interest is a dragon shifter, so he's in his dragon form. As he falls, he turns back into a human, and he breaks some bones when he falls. To describe his broken bones, I wrote, his ribs weren't feeling too hot, so yikes. And then there's this different kind of magic that he's ever encountered in this battle that happens, and he finds himself like immobilized by it. And I wrote that he was trussed up like a pig in freaky, unholy magic. So we're off to the races. We're really getting in there. So I'm very glad that I defined what I wanted out of this first draft because, oh my god. I want to switch things around so that I can do some walking while writing. And we're going to do our other 15-minute sprint that's supposed to finish this out, and we'll see how far we get with that. I just finished the prologue. It's 1,711 words. Wow, there was a lot to do. So instead of that taking 40 minutes, which was what I had initially hoped, that was 75 minutes, which is fine. It's done. I'm going to get some water. I'm going to read over the prologue, and then I want to try to jump right into chapter 1. It's now a lot later in the day, 1:27. I had to stop for a while and do stuff with the kids. I had thought I would do the prologue in 4 chapters. If I could do 2 more chapters today, I would take that. That seems fine. I am trying to stay within my regular writing time, which is to be done writing by 4 o'clock and then do like family stuff when my husband gets home. So we'll see. We'll see how we do. Okay, I didn't finish the first chapter yet, but I did do 2 25-minute writing sprints. I need to stop now though because it's snowing pretty heavily and it's 3 o'clock. So I need to go out and shovel the driveway so my husband can park when he gets home. So I wish I'd been able to finish the chapter before I have to go do that because that would have felt really good. But there's actually a lot left that still needs to happen. This is really funny. I feel like this may be the first hint that this first draft is going to take a lot longer than I thought. Not because it's harder and there's more thinking time, but because I actually have so much I know that I want to happen. And so then there's just like a lot to get through. Whereas other first drafts I've done, it's been like, oh, here's like the bare bones. And that was kind of my thought process when I was thinking of like how this first draft would be, that it would be just like the bare bones. But I have like all of it figured out pretty much. So then it's just not making sense to be like, here's the bare bones. Instead, it's like, well, write what I know, right? I think that'll play into the timeline. I am loving this first chapter though. So the prologue was like a little bit rough, right? And that was in the love interest point of view. And now this first chapter is in the protagonist's point of view, the female lead. And I don't know, I guess it just was like really easy to fall into the tone that I wanted. I'm liking a lot of the word choice. Like, I don't know what's going on. But yeah, this is going really, really well. There are 3 scenes in this chapter, and I just finished the first one, which was 948 words. Yeah, so there's 2 more scenes. The second one can be pretty brief, I think. I've been saying that about all of them. But it really is just the connective tissue to the ending of the scene, which is where they have their meet cute. I'm so excited to get them both on the page together. But I really, really like how the characterization is going in this first chapter. The main character is the captain of this like research crew, and they're a group of friends. So I don't know, I really, really like the way that the dynamic is playing out between the two friends who have been introduced from the group so far. And that feels so good. Yay! I just read it all over and I was like, this is actually like pretty good, honestly. Oh my god. So how exciting. I'm gonna walk back all of my previous stuff and be like, can I finish this first chapter today? So I hope so. I think so. I gotta go shovel. It's Monday. It's the 23rd. There's a blizzard outside. It's a snow day. My husband's home. My kids are home. Another day of February vacation for them, I suppose. And things being as they are, with it being with so much winter weather, we have not been doing a lot of like family outings. So it ended up that I actually had quite a bit of time over the weekend and I wrote two more chapters, I believe. Um, Last night I finished chapter 4, which is very exciting. Oh my gosh, I'm so close to 10,000 words into this draft. It's 3:30 now, and I've written two chapters. So there's only one chapter left that I was planning to do today, but I need to take a break because that was a lot of writing. 3,729 words that I've written so far today, and I'm just like tapped out at the moment. But yeah, today is definitely a down day as far as I'm really frustrated with this weather. It looks like it did stop snowing, but yeah, school was canceled today. And the last snowstorm when we had a lot of snow, school was canceled the day after the storm as well because they had trouble removing snow from the parking lot. I'm really hoping that they have school tomorrow, like that they figure out the snow removal because Wednesday and Thursday apparently we're supposed to get more snow. So but I'm just like, oh my gosh. I really want a day where I can just write, you know? Since the kids' winter break that started like the 23rd of December, they've been in school for about 4 weeks. In over 2 months. 4 weeks? I'm just like losing my mind. But, anyways, the actual writing. So I just finished chapter 6. That chapter was definitely, I think, one of the least good so far. Just in terms of like I didn't want to spend a lot of time doing it. So I really was like, here's the bare bones of this. And I think that's fine. Like I don't have a problem with that. I think it's totally fine that some chapters are like that. And the chapter before it had been just like a lot of conversation, them figuring some stuff out and that took a long time. That took so long. So yeah, gonna take a break. Maybe come back in an hour and a half or 2 hours or something, and see if I can just do that last chapter because that would feel really, really good. Yeah, it's the momentum that's really frustrating me. Is I want to feel that building momentum, and every day that the kids are home and there's some reason why I'm not just like starting writing around 9 o'clock in the morning, it feels like there's the momentum has been sucked away even at the beginning of the day, and then I'm like struggling to grab onto it, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's less about like, oh, I really want to hit this goal, I really want to hit this many chapters, I really want this much workout. It's more about the feeling of I feel like there's no momentum in the day and I want that feeling. It's Tuesday, the 24th, and the fantastic news is that there's only a 2-hour delay for school today. And even better, the two forecasted days that had been like, hey, it's going to snow, have turned into rain. So it's a 2-hour delay today, and it's 8:25 right now in the morning. So that means we don't need to get in the car to drop off kids for like an hour and a half. So I'm going to do a little bit of writing now. And the chapter that I'm writing is chapter 8, which is the inciting event chapter. So, oh my God, what a way to start the day. But there are a couple things that have been on my mind that I just wanted to like chat about as far as the writing has gone for this, because it's just like interesting to me. So there are 4 other friends in this friend group besides the protagonist, and each of those friends is going to get their own book. And I have a pretty good idea of what each of those books is going to be. The last book in the series, that character, for some reason, they're very easy to write in this first draft. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just their personality. Maybe it's easier for me to write that sort of personality. They're a very bold, talkative, bossy, funny sort of character. And it just was interesting to me because, yeah, it's so much easier to write the riff back and forth between that character and the main character, even though I've spent the least amount of time thinking about that character's book. And the other 3 friends, I know like a lot about their books and I've thought a lot about them. It's going to be too complicated to talk about without just saying their names to keep track of them. So Audryn is the character that's very easy to write. She's a witch. And Evie is this very sweet, hippy dippy sort of character, and her interactions don't drive the plot forward, but they just show like the relationships between characters. And Sver is the only man in the group. He is going to drive a lot of plot stuff, but not quite yet. And then Naya is this very quiet, deadpan April character, from Parks and Rec, very much that sort of vibe. So, and she isn't driving, again, the story at this point. So I think that's why Audryn is so much easier to write. Anyways, I just thought that was interesting. The other thing is that I'm having a lot of fun with the love interest, Ragnar. He's kind of one of my favorite types of male lead. I'm actually struggling to think of other books that have this trope, but he's like very much a drama king. Uh, and I love that. I love that. Kind of like Cadian from Presley Cole's Immortals After Dark. I forget exactly which one, but I'll put it on the screen. I have him as an Aries, and I really, really love how to the extremes he goes. I gave him a character arc that I'm so excited for. There's so much emotional payoff. Outwardly, he's at the top of his game. Everything is going great, but internally, he's got this deep, deep belief that he's just absolutely not good enough or worthy because of whatever stuff has been going on. I'm just so excited to take him from this spot that he's in right now at the beginning of the book to where he's going to be at the end, which is like, oh my God, he deserves everything. The other thing that I wanted to mention was I watched this video, I think by Abbie Emmons. She had been noticing a trend that I think lately, I don't know, just in general, that there's kind of a lot of like perfect book boyfriends in a lot of romance these days, and how it was kind of frustrating that men weren't given the same character arc through the books and they just kind of like seemed pretty great basically the entire way. And I thought that was so interesting because definitely as a writer, I've noticed that there's a tendency to want to make them too good at the beginning of a book. And that was the problem with Project Chance that I was writing last winter, spring, where I just had him as too awesome of a guy at the beginning of the book, and everything falls apart because where's the conflict? But also from a character arc point of view, I thought that was very spot on. Like, definitely, I super prefer reading where both people have these massive character arcs. It's just something that I need to keep in mind because he's very much broody, bad boy, warrior guy on the outside, but very much soft, sweet, romantic golden retriever on the inside. I do in this zero draft, first draft, have him doing things that are immoral, not cool, bad. And it's just something that I'm gonna make sure that I pay specific attention to as I'm editing, that's really played up. Even though there's a lot to like about him, even at the beginning of the book, he is not acting well. Okay, but now I'm gonna write. That was it.
I have been finding it helpful to start writing sessions by spending like 10 to 15 minutes reading over what I wrote, like the latest bit of what I wrote. I feel like a lot of YouTubers lately have been talking about how they're doing that, like Bethany Atazadeh. I'm so sorry. I'll link her in the description. And I think Alyssa was doing that from Alyssa in the Books, and I think some other people too. It is definitely a nice little like warm up to get into the day for sure. I'm surprised that I'm not finding more typos here, honestly. There's so much on the page in this draft that's just such a what the heck is that if you don't have everything in your head the way that I do. Because I am not explaining things. I'm just like, here, blah, blah, blah. I'm really excited in revisions to just sort of actually make it good. No, but to take all of the bits of like weird world building that I'm putting little bits of on the page and like take all of that out and then redo it so that it's more subtle, it's more yeah, good. Because right now it's just like the scene will be playing out and then suddenly it's like 3 paragraphs of here's what's going on, the world building. Some things are so hard to describe without actually saying exactly what they are. But I don't want to be specific. So there's a certain thing that happens. It keeps happening when they're together. And it really freaks her out. And it was kind of hard to see how that would affect her interiority and her actions throughout the zero draft. Because I wrote the zero draft very much in like, he does this, then she does this. And it wasn't anything like reading a story. And it's very interesting seeing how in a prose form that really builds and is like, oh, that's a pretty good reason why she would be acting like this. So that's been nice to see. Also, okay, and this is really hard to do in a first draft. She is supposed to be someone who, like, their composure, their outward composure is extremely important. It's like a vital part of her personality and her self-perception. And of course, throughout the book, that is continually tested, including right at the beginning, because he completely makes her lose her mind. It's very difficult writing someone being composed in these crazy situations. So she's very out of character at the moment, and it will take some serious chipping away and figuring stuff out to get her to her actual character, I think. I had never done this, but I started in that zero draft doing a scene orientation sort of for myself of what just happened previously, where is their like mental state, what are they trying to do here, is there any relevant setting thing. And I found that so helpful because sometimes you just like, if you sit down to start writing a scene, even if you're working off of an outline, I've found for myself that I'm constantly like, I know I've recently wrote the last scene, but I don't remember enough of how things ended. So then it's been so helpful having that quick little scene orientation in the next chapter. All right, I guess the only way to start is to just start. Ah.
that first sprint of the day went pretty well. This is one of those times where I spent a lot of time building out the scene, which is okay. It's nice. It is nice to be in the creative space where it's like I feel like I can build out the scene. So there's still quite a lot that is going to be happening in this chapter. But I have to drop off the kids and we have to start getting ready in about 30 minutes. So I'm going to do another 25-minute sprint and see how much of this I can get through. In a perfect, very satisfying world, I would finish it and be like, "Ooh, I wrote the first chapter of the day before the kids got to school." I don't think that's gonna happen. But let's find out. Yeah, that was more like 10 minutes. The kids needed to have a mother around. So I just got back from dropping off the kids. It's 11:16, and so I got to write for 10 minutes before leaving and then about 5 minutes in the drop off line. But that was enough time to close out the first scene in the chapter. So that was kind of a reaction to something that happened at the end of the last chapter. And now it's the actual scene of the inciting event playing out. And it'll be kind of fun because one of the characters is an oracle. And at the time, I hadn't decided exactly what that meant. I had one idea of what I wanted that to mean. And so that's what's in this draft. But since then, I did my second draft, detailed outline of that book. And so during that process, I discovered that I wanted to do her abilities in this different way. So that's going to play out here. I'm hoping I would like to finish this chapter in the next 35 to 45 minutes. I think if that's reasonable. I did finish it in those 25 minutes. That's nice. Something fun is that chapter broke the 15,000 word mark for this project, which is crazy because that was chapter 8, and then with the prologue, that means 9 chapters. I'm at 16,261 words. So what's the average chapter length then? Just about 1,800 words per chapter on average. So if we're working with 65 chapters here, what size first draft am I looking at? Oh my god. 117,000 words. That's crazy for a first draft. So, okay, historically, my first drafts are about 50,000 words. I have a lot more detail and stuff going on in this book because of the zero draft, but 117,000 words, I do not want a first draft that is that long. Are you kidding me? When all is said and done, I want this book to be 90,000 words. Please, God. And to be honest, I am hoping to finish this, I mean, by the end of March. Ah! But thinking that I can write 117,000 words by the end of March, that doesn't seem likely. We'll find out. Oh my God. So that was the inciting event playing out. Now we get into the super fun stuff. There's such a fun, backstory hook drop at the end of this chapter. I'm so excited about it. I'm gonna eat some food, take a little bit of a break, and then come back and we'll start chapter 9. I actually just finished writing the 10th chapter. So those last two went by quite a lot faster. I think they were both about 30 minutes to do, and they were a lot shorter. They were more like 700 words each. So perhaps there's hope after all to not end up with 117,000 word first draft. In a lot of ways, I would prefer to underwrite than overwrite. However it goes, that's how it will go, and that's fine. So I'm going to close out this vlog though because I need to go get the kids. Normally, I would try to do a vlog that's like a week in the life video, but if I actually finish out the rest of the week, this video will be like over an hour long, which is crazy. Apparently, I have a lot to say about this stuff. So we're going to end it here. 11 chapters in the last couple days, and I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really, really good. On the Kanban board, if I'm able to do 3 chapters for the rest of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, that would bring me to 20 of the 65 chapters being done. I'm going to aim for that. We will see how it goes. But it seems like 3 chapters a day has been okay. Things are going well. I hope your rating is going well. And it's actually a beautiful day outside. Yesterday was a blizzard. Now it's beautiful. I hope the weather is good where you are as well. And man, it will be so great to get to spring, won't it? But I will see you soon in the next vlog.